What's up? We're back. It's the Building 61 Space Camp team. And today we're going to be doing a recap of some of the data that we got from our launch. Got some exciting stuff. We have APRS data. We got some data from the Arduino SIM card. We also have our predictions. So we're going to take a look at all that stuff, see how it went.
Yeah, pretty exciting. Good recovery. Thanks to folks that a lot of people checked in for the flight and the recovery. Congratulations on not melting in that former sunflower field that had to be 105 degrees.
Easily.
We did recover everything successfully. The payload, I think, is right there behind my shoulder. That's the one that the students built, and really good flight. Can't recall if we got camera footage off of it, but I do remember that we got some data. And before we do that, you know, there's a lot of people that made this possible. Not the least of which is the Cognizant Making the Future grant program. Gave us enough money to really reinvent the program, to record a lot of the video sort of tutorials that went into the early part of the camp. Big help there, and a shout out to Catherine Nash and company there. And of course, the Boulder Library Foundation, who is really responsible for like our time and our hours, all of the equipment, all of the materials, and making Building 61 like a reality. They also gave us a very nice grant donation to run more space camp programs. And we hope that we've put that to good use and got some people excited about really building this program for themselves.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we do is really we build DIY sensors that could really be reconfigured to do so many things using the Arduino platform. And we're recording GPS, altitude, pressure, and temperature, and writing it to a little data logger. Well, that data is great, but if we look at it in and of itself, it's really just a bunch of numbers separated on in a spreadsheet. So one cool thing that we can do with those numbers, if we do a little bit of work with them, is show you what the plot looks like on Google Earth. And we do that by making a KML file, and we're going to show you what that looks like right now.
Here we go. Pulling this up. I hope. Yes, indeed.
There it is. So here's Boulder. We launched from right there, and we landed just east of Brighton this time. How do we know that? Well, a couple of interesting things go into predicting the flight. And we use a website called HabHub, which takes real-time predictions. And here's what it's called a KML file. It's a keyhole markup language file. And we're going to show you how you can make those for yourself as well. But here is what a flight prediction actually looks like. This one was run probably just before the flight, which was just minutes before. And this is the source of, this is one of two. We had a little bit of a delay, which you might have caught on the live stream of the launch. And so we ran a second one here, and you can see that shows up as like a bit shorter. And what we're doing here is actually, Adam, you can explain this more clearly, but we're tuning the amount of lift that the balloon has.
Yeah, that's right. So based on our prediction software, that's taking into account a couple things. It's taking into account wind. So we know which way the winds are moving at various altitudes. And it's also taking into account what we're putting in as a prediction for our lift rate. So we know how quickly our balloon is going to ascend. We know based on another calculator when that will burst, because the balloon itself has a maximum diameter of 9.5 feet. So the more gas that you have in that balloon is going to make it much higher pressure on the inside as it rises. And we also know the descent rate. So as this thing falls, we know that based on its weight, the parachute will carry it at a specific speed. So the parachute that we ultimately ended up using was about 25 feet. Did I say 29? Oh, yeah.
9.
19 and a half feet?
Didn't you say 29?
No, it's 19 and a half feet is the max balloon size.
Oh, right on.
Oh yeah, 19 and a half feet. Sorry. Okay. Clarification on that. But we know that this thing is descending at 25 feet per second, essentially. That's the rate of the descent. So with those numbers in there, we get this very helpful map that will kind of guide us where this is going to fall or descend.
And we did something just to prove the accuracy of this. We did something that we'd never done, and Adam, really thinking on his feet, looked at what you can see on your screen here in blue as a bit of a short flight, and it's coming down in some more populated areas before we get into the more open space east of sort of the Denver metro area. And he's also looking at this rather long flight. And if I'm correct, what you did was take the two calculations and split the difference. And as if to illustrate the point perfectly, what we're going to look at right here, is the actual flight data that came off of the APRS radio. So again, Adam looked at the long flight and the short flight, decided that the best situation for us was to split the difference. And what did it look like in flight? Boom, right there. Amazing. So it's literally same burst altitude. And if you looked at the distance between the peaks and altitude on the as if this were just a graph, if you look at this distance between these 2 points, the short flight and the long flight, the actual flight, and also the landing positions, they're fairly equidistant between the two. So for you to literally pick half and have the flight plop right down there at the halfway point of that really speaks to the accuracy and the care that we put into calculating the path of these flights.
Thank goodness the software is as accurate as it is, because that let me essentially put trust in it that if I made a slight adjustment, I think that we adjusted the lift rate in the balloon, the ascent rate, by maybe like 0.1 or 0.2 meters per second.
Yeah,
like just between those, just to get that proper landing zone.
Really amazing. And also just like a beautiful graph of a very crazy flight. So we're looking at a completely easterly flight. It swings back pretty heavily to the west and also ascends quite a bit there. Before it lands, what was about 20 miles north or south of Brighton, or east of Brighton rather, and just slightly south. So big open field. It landed out there nice and clean, fairly easy to spot using the APRS radio and also our spot tracker. So what else did we find? We wanted to see the data from the student-built flight trackers, and I'm going to pull that up right now. So again, this is APRS. This is about as accurate as our map is going to get. So will the students' data match up to that? Let's find out. Whoa! Okay, really strange, really odd data coming from the Arduino, the flight recorder that we built before. Now, if you think, well, you guys messed up, I beg to differ. I would say we absolutely were not getting good data in this section right here. That's pretty much a gimme, unless the balloon just happened to go completely straight up. Now, what we know about the electronics that we use for this flight recorder is that, one, they're very inexpensive. And so the altitude sensor comes in under $5 or under $6 maybe, I think. And so we know that at this altitude that things are gonna probably kind of not be accurate at all. And that's an interesting opportunity for students to observe this data and unpack these things and just think about science as observing what you can measure and not sort of pointing the finger at like bad electronics. So how do I know that our flight tracker worked at all? If we zoom in here on the tail end of the flight, look at this. So in orange, we're looking at the Arduino-based flight tracker. And again, in purple, this is the APRS, and APRS being our most accurate tracking system. When we see the kind of data match up here graphically, we know that our flight recorder actually began to work, but maybe not until this point right here. And so, we will leave it to the young scientists in the audience to decide what could have gone wrong. Now, altitude, again, this area, I think we know that this is just a representation of the sensor not getting any data, or at least not accurate data. But why would we, for instance, be measuring something far south of where the actual flight was? It's a mystery, and that's an interesting part of the science. So I'd say, regardless of whether it was super successful or not, not a bad result. Plenty to work with students there. And I feel like my Google Earth just froze. I hope that's all that froze.
Okay, now switches back to us.
Yeah, and then so I'm sad to say that once again we did not get any flight video at all. It was probably the heat. It was. Wait a second. No, that was that other flight.
No, that was the other one.
That was that.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
we definitely got.
We actually got
really good video.
The whole flight.
And
so
the
yes,
best footage.
Yeah, the clearest footage. So without further ado, Adam, you want to share that and walk us through what we got?
We're going to show you basically just a highlight reel here. The full video is getting posted to YouTube right after this finishes going live. So look for that imminently.
Awesome.
So let's go ahead and just take a look here. Whoa, where are we? We're slightly skipped ahead in time here off the ground, but
nice. So again, if you watch the live stream, this is balloon number 2. We had a problem with the flight line, but the amazing crew gets us back to this point, and this is what we want to see. Awesome onboard flight footage.
Just gorgeous view of the Flatirons, Boulder Public Library in the foreground.
Yeah, look at this view of the library. That's our new. I think that's that's our new go-to image. Let's copyright that and sell it back to David Farnan.
Oh yeah, let him know.
Yeah, let's tell him. So yeah, really pretty day. Actually, the weather conditions. It's nice to have some cloud cover in the background. That's a good way to get any kind of photograph. The skies aren't completely empty. Looking at beautiful downtown and pretty hot Boulder. I think we were all finally scrambling for some shade on the ground at this point. And if you got to watch the live stream, the video for which is posted, you'll see that we were also receiving real-time flight video on the ground station that Adam had pointed at.
Yep. So that's that flight video is real-time radio transmission. So if you're watching it on the previously recorded live stream, you'll see a lot of interference, and that's the nature of essentially what is a fairly low-powered video transceiver that is in the air, and we were pointing a Yagi antenna from the ground at it.
Yeah,
for quite some time
with an omnidirectional antenna, right? But honestly, a little bit of line of sight lost just from the placement of the antenna, maybe.
Yes, quite possibly.
Yeah, this is how we learn. We stick that thing maybe out of the side next time, and it gets a clearer shot to the ground. But check out that video, and then I think we're going to jump ahead to the burst. So again, the way these balloons work is they are not controlled flights. We can tune those flights based on the predictions like we just saw by adding or subtracting a certain amount of gas. And the balloon itself is just going to go up until it expands to the point of rupture. And we do have videos where you can see the balloon actually pop up. Boom, right there. Back that up 10 seconds if you can. So we've got a good stable flight, and you can see we're just gently turning. This is at 78,468 feet. And then the balloon literally bursts and the uncontrolled descent starts. You see the radar reflector flies into the screen there a little bit. Hopefully you're watching this on an IMAX film right now and you're just getting completely nauseous.
Let's listen to that burst.
Yeah, very cool. Our radar reflector flies into the screen. Like, that's a really cool thing to see. And there is a parachute, and the parachute slows this descent down considerably. But yeah, you can really hear the burst there in the video. That parachute does not have enough atmosphere at that altitude to really slow it down much. And it's probably going to drop, in this case, about 20,000 feet before it really starts to slow down. So when we looked at that graph, we have this precipitous drop after the burst.
Yeah, this thing is plummeting at this point.
Yeah, really flying. And then what does it look like when it touches down?
All right, let's get close.
So here we are, about 20 miles east of Brighton and just slightly south. Get a good view of the vast eastern plain of Colorado and really out just past the edge of like the Denver metro area towns. Kind of an ideal landing spot for us. It was about probably a 50-minute drive. Is that right, Robbie?
Seems about right.
Just about. I think we arrived around 6 minutes after it landed.
6 minutes. Oh my gosh, we were so close. So if you can see this towards the bottom of the screen, you're seeing this sandy colored plot that has some old rows of sunflowers in it, and it'll be plopping down there. This was one of our more challenging recoveries, to be honest. As flat as it looks in this video, there are some rolling hills out there, and the radio signal from the APRS is just kind of behind a little rise. But
in terms of where we could take the car, it was like just kind of out of range to get a good signal.
Yeah.
It took us a moment.
A moment, and a hot moment. And coming in, watch for the shadow of the payload and the radar reflector and the parachute. Boom, stuck the landing, and the parachute makes a little cameo appearance there and takes us out. So gorgeous flight all the way through, 78,468 feet. Really excellent job. The ground team was awesome. The Space Camp team was awesome. Thanks to Jeff Branson, Sammy Crowder, and Lou for joining us on like a really warm day in a car that had air conditioning. Thanks, Lou.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Back to, just like thanking the folks that made all of this possible. Again, we want to thank Cognizant for that really nice grant that they gave us way back in 2019.
Yeah.
We've been waiting to spend that money for over 2 years.
We've been looking forward to this for a long time. It's
Yeah.
really nice to be able to fulfill the promise that is Space Camp, and look forward to doing more of these.
Way more. And I think our new format was really good. I think it's going to help us do more public classes that pull in people for, basically all of the cool highlights of Space Camp, and make it a little bit more accessible to people. So reminder, the instructions for how to build a KML file, and those are the files that we looked at and plotted on Google Earth. We have an instruction manual on how to create those files and actually how to import them into Google Earth. So you can do that yourself. You can actually play with our data sets. I think are also available to the public if you want to try that out.
They're in the description of this video if you want to see the various data and predictions that we pulled up.
Yeah. Lisa, our colleague, says, yes, more space camps. Yes, more space camps, again, can't be possible without the super generous, awesome, and enthusiastic support of the Boulder Library Foundation, who make our jobs in Building 61 possible. So with that, the video is now up on YouTube of the entire flight. So I think you should watch the whole thing. It's only 2.5 hours or so. But it is a beautiful takeoff, some really beautiful shots throughout the flight. And then, of course, like what I think was the coolest landing video we've had so far.
So good. It's going to be hard to top. We'll try that.
We will try. Yes, more. So that's it. That concludes 2022 Space Camp. I want to thank Duncan and Tupac and Gabe, our ground crew here, all the people that helped us coach it, all the people that helped us plan it. thanks you guys for another like really good, successful launch and a fun camp, and a lot learned, and I think a lot to improve on, and onward. Let's do some more.
All right. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you all for watching. Again, data sets in the description of this video here. We've also got it in the actual full video on YouTube for the flight. So check that out there. Keep on making. See you soon.